G'day everyone, here I am in Sydney. Now no footage from when I was in the train just then because if you're not aware, in Sydney there's a rule: if you've got technology out that's worth more than a couple of dollars, then it gets confiscated by people. I think they're also known as mugging. So got a bit of a busy day ahead of myself today. Let's get going. There are some lovely places in Sydney. Unfortunately, I've managed to avoid all of them. I don't know where I am. Market City or something like that. I think I'm in Sydney. I'm lost. Anyway, I'm here making my way to Double Bay. I'm going to get an Uber soon, I think, because I'm lost. The reason why I'm down here in Sydney is I'm heading to check out Sony's PlayFest. Really excited for this. It's going to be a great day. Except for the weather. Weather is pretty pathetic here. Bad day in Sydney for it. Weather's bad. I'm lost. I'm also puffed. There's lots of hills. Let's see how I go. If I lose my camera, hopefully whoever steals it or finds it is nice enough to edit this video and upload it to YouTube for us. Right, so I've still got a little bit of time to kill before we go to PlayFest, and I found the Anzac Memorial in Hyde Park, which is really cool. As you can see behind me, got these massive shells there, which is pretty impressive. I'd hate to see the gun that these things go into. So if you're not from Sydney and you do happen to take a trip to Sydney, I do recommend checking out Hyde Park in the heart of the city here. It's actually a really nice place. You see the scenery around me. It's a really beautiful park. It's all green, lush. I think it's getting really close to time for PlayFest now, so it's time for me to organise myself a bit of an Uber so I can get there without getting too lost. Thanks for checking out this part of the video. Next part's all video games. Ta! G'day everyone, thanks for watching that first part. That was a lot of fun trying to make my way down to Sydney there without Snoogs. It was a little bit of a different occasion for me. He knows the city like the back of his hand. Me, not so much. But what I did, I caught an Uber from Hyde Park to Double Bay where PlayFest was, and I got a driver, and I said to the driver when we were on our way there, I said, look, just to make me feel a little bit more comfortable and at home, do you mind if I call you Snoogs? And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, I just want to call you Snoogs, and I want to talk to you about video games on the way to where we're going. And he says, I don't know anything about video games. I'm really bad at them. And I said, fantastic, you're getting into character. So the first thing I noticed when I got out of my Uber and went into the PlayStation PlayFest is that, well, the information I had previous to today was that it was being held at a residence. Now, to me, I thought, oh, it's going to be in a house. That's a little bit strange. When I got there, though, that's not any regular house. That was a mansion on the water. Did you see? You saw it in the first part of it. I'll pop some more videos, some more screens up on top of this as I speak. But look at that luscious view. How cool are those cushions with the PlayStation logos on them, like the button logos, and the the house was. I would love to live there. That is a nice part of the world, that double bay. But anyway, so we went in there and met some of the friendly staff there at the at PlayStation, and it was an amazing setup. We got to hear a good talk about PlayStation and its visions for the next year or so by Michael Denny, who's the Senior Vice President of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios. Had to look up his title because it's quite large. But anyway, that was a real informative talk, and we got to hear some things about how PlayStation's moving forward, and they've hit a bit of a milestone that they wanted to spruik as well, which I thought was pretty impressive. But in the last 12 months, PlayStation Plus, the network, has clocked 1 billion hours of online game time from its members, which is, yeah, pretty impressive. There's going to be more information about that on AussieGamersExpress.com, so check that out if you're interested in stats and figures and stuff like that. Now, I guess it's time. You guys probably want me to talk about the games. Now, I'm going to start off with probably the biggest one that I was interested in. I didn't know this game was going to be playable at PlayFest today, so I was quietly surprised when they announced that Shadow of the Colossus was going to be playable at PlayFest. And yes, I got my hands on Shadow of the Colossus, and if you played that back in its PS2, PS3 days, you'll know that it's actually a really good game. But the new PlayStation 4 version in 4K 60 frames a second is beautiful. Now, I didn't capture any of me playing it, but if I'm lucky enough, I'm going to insert some video here from what I can gather from Sony. So there you go, that was Shadow of the Colossus, and I had a great time playing it. It still feels just as intuitive as it did playing it on the PlayStation 3. I played the HD version of it. It was remastered for PS3 from the PS2. And seriously, the game is intact. It looked and felt exactly like the original, just with better graphics and a lot more detail and textures involved. So it's great. Next up, I watched a bit of a playthrough of a demo of a game called Erica, which is going to be part of the PlayLink series. And what it is, it's a full motion video game. So Erica is a character that you're kind of not really playing as her, but you're influencing what she does and you're interacting with things around the environment through her. Kind of an interesting concept. I like the idea of it. Not so sure the big time gamers are going to be keen on it, but the thing is, the controls are used with a smartphone, so I think it will appeal to some part-time gamers or even partners of gamers. Now, this whole PlayLink thing. I'm mostly interested in getting these PlayLink games so I can play them with my wife. Now, my wife, she's intimidated by all of the different buttons on a DualShock 4 controller. But if we can play a game like this on a smartphone, I think it's going to bring a lot of partners together. Now, the average gamer is around 30 odd years old. So most of us are going to be very close to being married. If not, we're going to have partners. And it's good to be able to interact and share gaming, our hobby, with our loved ones. So I like this idea. I really do hope that there's plenty of content to come with PlayLink. Alright, now the next one, Snoogs has been playing Skyrim VR, and he's been spruiking it up, saying how amazing it is to feel the heat of the dragon's breath right in your face. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it sounds good. I'm not a massive fan of Skyrim. I played Skyrim VR today, and I used the dual, what are they called? The Move controllers. And at first I thought that it was going to be horrible because you use a point and click sort of teleport motion to move around in the world, and then two different buttons to rotate, and then obviously you look around with your head and you aim and use the bow and arrow. I've got to say, it's bloody excellent. It's intuitive. It takes maybe takes a minute to sort of get a hang of how to move around with the controls before you are Skyriming the hell out of hills and mountains and scoring headshots on bears in caves and skeletons and baddies and all that sort of stuff. Hold a shield in one hand, wield a sword in the other, shield yourself, and then swipe away. You dead set look like a maniac when other people are watching you do it, but when you're in that world, it all makes sense. It's great. So Skyrim VR is definitely there for people who are keen on VR and absolutely love Skyrim. And the good thing about it, it is Skyrim in its entirety. It's not a scaled down version or a cut version or a specific version made for VR. It's Skyrim turned into a VR game, so that's really cool. Now the next one, I didn't actually get hands-on. I ran out of time for Doom VFR, I believe it's called. However, that one is not Doom 2016. This one is a new VR game made in the setting, in the world of Doom. So if you're expecting to get Doom VFR to go back and play Doom in VR, it's not how it works. But it does work similarly to how Skyrim is, you know, with the whole teleportation using the Move controllers and things like that. It may have the implementation of DualShock 4. I'm not 100% sure on that one because I didn't actually get to play it. Now, second last game that I'm going to talk about today is the Inpatient. Now, I got really tired of waiting to play this game, and I thought, well, that's fair enough considering the name. But then I realised it's the Inpatient, all about nutters, nothing to do with being impatient. So anyway, from what I experienced in the little demo that I played, I feel like I'm a doctor who's been placed into an insane asylum or some sort of care, and some things happened. The pacing was quite slow until it got towards the end where there were a couple of jump scares. I'm not too sure what the game is supposed to be like. Is it going to be like a supernatural thing? Is it going to be just messing with your mind? Is your character crazy or not? I don't know. It's a little bit strange, but it seems like it'll be a decent experience. The whole time, really, most of the time you're in a wheelchair and sort of just being pushed around, and there's a little bit where you can get up and walk around, but there's not too much of that. It was only a short demo. But the Inpatient, take a look at that if you're, I don't know, curious about that one. Okay, now the last one I'm going to talk about today is a bit of a serious one. Now, it's a game that I have played before. I've actually been hands-on with it, but with a different sequence of the game. And every time I play this game, it really draws me in. And this sequence that I was able to watch played out today really tugged at some heartstrings. The game I'm talking about is Detroit Become Human. And I played the hostage scene where there was a young girl being held hostage by an android who'd gone rogue. Today, if the sequence that was played out before me was the domestic violence scene, which includes the playable android Kara. Now, Kara was first revealed to us back in 2012, I believe it is what the guys were saying today, and it was a PlayStation 3 real-time engine, sort of like just a show off what the PS3 could do. But now on the PS4, it's looking absolutely amazing. But back to the sequence that I saw today. Now, it shows a real seriously upsetting scene of domestic violence where there appears to be a single father with his young daughter who looks roughly around the same age as my daughter, which is probably why the heartstrings get tugged a bit there. She's probably about 9-10 years old, and there was a couple of playthroughs done today to show us that there are multiple ways to go through the game and the sequences. But the first one was a scene where you play as Kara. There's an argument between the father figure and the child. The child runs upstairs to get away from the angry father, and then you are told to stay put. Now, you then break free by doing some things to become a bit more of a rogue, so you can sort of overcome the commands that you've been given by your master, I guess, your human master. And then the first playthrough we saw was where Kara rushed upstairs while the father was still downstairs, grabs the young child and tries to escape before the father can come in and hurt her because he's gone crazy. He's already hit her. There's a fight that ensues. You do a few sort of quick prompts, QTEs, quick time events and all that sort of stuff. You escape and it's all happy days, and you're now on the run as a rogue with this young girl. There's an alternate way. Now, there was only 2 ways that were shown, and it looks like there's a lot more than 2 ways, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. But the alternate playthrough was, instead of going upstairs straight to the young girl and rescuing her, trying to reason with the father before he goes upstairs to do whatever it is that he might do. And I guess there's multiple outcomes to this as well, but today's outcome turned into a bit of a fight, a physical fight between the father and Kara, the player that you're playing as, and then you eventually have to do whatever it is that you need to do control-wise, you know, a few QTEs. If you pick up a gun, in this one, a gun was picked up, there was a gun, the gun was discharged, and the father was killed. Now, that's only 2 possible outcomes. They did show us a bit of a flow chart today, which is apparently a work in progress. I don't have any examples of it, unfortunately, but it basically looked like a tree that branched off, and it showed you the decisions that were made, and then all of the decisions that could be made, the alternate paths. And just for one sequence, there's a lot. Replayability is going to be a serious part of this game. Detroit Become Human. I can't stress enough that this game is looking amazing, not just in the graphics department, but definitely in the storytelling ability, and the acting looks second to none. If there is something to look forward to for next year, this has definitely got to be on your list. Detroit Become Human. Beautiful game. Alright, look, thank you very much. I've taken up enough of all of your time so far. Thank you very much to everybody that's watching this and has gotten this far into the video. I appreciate that. That's been my day with Sony's PlayFest down in Double Bay in Sydney. And if you've got any questions about the day, because obviously there's things that I've experienced today that doesn't make it to this video, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have in the questions section down below. But do us one favor, please, press the like button and also subscribe for all future coverage from Aussie Gamers Express and myself, Lucas. But until my next video, I will see ya!